am I a believer in Bigfoot? No, not really. But I think it's kind of cool to do that sort of investigation.
Oh,
I mean,
well,
I grew up with a famous, video sequence of a Bigfoot in Washington State, which of course has turned into a hoax.
and speaking of Bigfoot, we got him on the line right now.
Yeah.
I'm up this right as soon as I get off the air.
I hear that Urkel's available. You might want to you might want to grab
Hey,
Urkel
it's
before...
Damon. Hello, Damon. Where have you been?
Yeah, I think that
Phone
was...
bangs Urkel.
Yeah, it's been done.
Oh, and J Squared. We
It's
have,
anyway, I gotta go for today's character.
it's J Squared and
Don't
Damon
worry.
and
Hold on.
Urkel.
I understand. Let me give you some advice. I know that the Buck Rogers cast is still available.
Yeah?
But
We're just going to turn down the volume on Skype while Venison figures out how to hit the stop button on his Winamp. But in the meantime, we could just go ahead and bring up the opening theme tune. Because that's what we do here. That is how we roll here on this show. So let's go ahead and... because it's time once again for everyone's favorite internet radio show.
Insert title here.
The show that has changed names so many times, we had to put in a placeholder. And this week, I welcome you to the EllipsisTriangletrap show. That's what we're calling it this week. Because fuck that other guy that we named the show after last week. He didn't even have the decency to rip apart and criticize the show we named after him. So I guess I guess he finally bought a vowel and bought a clue or got a life, and so
and won the game.
And so we really should pay more attention to the people that actually like our show rather than all the attention we gave the guy that hates our show. But that's how I roll. If someone's going to be a hater, I'm like, hey, yeah, okay, you hate it. That's great. Let's hear more about that. I'm not going to get pissed off. I told him off a little bit, but I wasn't like, oh my God, I hate you. I'm going to joke around about it, really. But
slight self-conscious motivation.
Well, but the thing that I noticed was that I completely have been overlooking the YouTube chat room because the Hangout doesn't show us the chat room. And when I went back and replayed parts of the episode, that's when I saw, oh my God, EllipsisTriangletrap was listening and typed in. And he typed in, stop paying so much attention to Jay Booger, call it the EllipsisTriangletrap show. And I was like, that's a great idea. And EllipsisTriangletrap.
Time.
Yeah. EllipsisTriangletrap is writing in, hell yeah, it's my show tonight. That it is.
So, that's stupid that we don't see the chat.
Yeah, well, if you
I keep staring at show after show, and there's nothing. Sometimes I'm tempted to reach over and type something in.
Well, if you
just don't come up with something to say.
Now, we can type chats to each other, I think, in here. I'm trying to think I think there's a chat room in the Hangout. But that's part of the Hangout chat, and I don't even know where that is anymore. Oh, yeah, there is. So we could go over here and type, sup, yo, and, no one sees that. We see that. They don't see that. So this is how we could start sending secret messages back and forth to each other without other people knowing about it. So, I could, or you could make beeping sounds.
Do we have a submarine someplace?
I think Venison's calling from a submarine.
Oh. That's coming through his line.
I think so, because it's not my line. Now,
did we lose our other Skype callers?
The only Skype caller we have is Venison. I'm still showing him on the line, but I don't hear him talking. He was talking earlier.
Hello, Venison.
Anyways,
but what happened to Damon? Did he disconnect?
Oh, that was automation. Venison was listening to automation.
Oh.
That was a recording.
Oh, I thought we had a new guest.
No, that would have been great if J Squared and Damon were on the line. but they have lives now. Well, J Squared does. Damon, not so much. Anyways, yeah, that was harsh. I kid. Me and Damon, we bros. Rarely talk anymore, but we bros. Anyways, yeah, we got a show for you this week, and we got a lot of things to talk about. Christmas is coming up, and the work is buzzing in the workplace, and I finally realized what it is I feel like I'm doing in my job. And I had the perfect analogy for what my job is like these days, and I tweeted this because when I thought of this, I actually was. I sent out an email to people to let them know, hey guys, we got 13 onboardings coming up in the beginning of January. If I pull everything together I've got, I have 10 laptops I can use. And I'm probably going to need some of them between now and January. And we can't order laptops that support Windows 7 anymore. And no one will let us roll out Windows 10 because we haven't come up with a plan to test it, and no one's let us move forward with a plan to test it. Here's what I propose we do. And I laid out step 1, get a Windows 10 image prepared and finished. Step 2, throw it onto 2 test machines. Step 3, give those test machines to a department so that they can call us with them. Step 4, say hi, Venison.
Yeah, sorry about that. This fucking USB connector went screwy again.
I'll get you every time.
Disconnecting me from the web.
And this is why we got to test things before we roll them out. So back to my Windows 10.
You could test all you want. It's been doing it constantly by itself. I can't do anything with it.
And that's one of my points is you can test all you want. And so I was like, let's pick a department, let's say HR. And we'll give them the 2 test laptops. We tell them, take these laptops, do everything. Do everything you do in your department with these laptops, and then go back to them and say, hey, how did everything go? And then listen to the list of complaints. It does this wrong, it does that wrong, does this wrong. Go back, fix what we can, test more, rinse, lather, repeat until we are confident that we can roll out Windows 10 to HR. And then replace all their laptops, take all their old laptops, throw them in the Windows 7 pile so that people that are still on Windows 7, we have a bank of computers we can roll out to them, move on to next department. Based on the way my incompetent coworkers work, this is the best plan that I could come up with and something I could feasibly do. And sending out this email pointing out that we're down to 10 laptops, and that includes things that are old to reuse, anything I could dig up. I built up a pile of 10. I actually found another one after I sent the email, so I'm up to 11. That's one louder. And basically, I feel like I'm one of the pilots on Avianca Flight 52, and I'm radioing air traffic control that we're running out of fuel. For those that are not familiar with Avianca Flight 52, it ended up crashed in someone's yard. And the interesting thing about that crash is there were no flames. Why? Because the fuel tanks were empty.
Dang.
Yeah. So I'm there okay, but we'll get some laptops ready here, but we're running out of fuel. Okay, keep circling. We'll bring you in soon. We'll give you priority landing. Okay, but we're running out of fuel.
Yeah, it happened in Long Island, too.
Yeah. Oh, you're familiar with that one.
Yes, I am.
Oh. The thing about crashing, because you ran out of gas, is it does cut down on the flames. So if you survive the impact, at least you don't have to worry about burning a horrific fiery death.
Yep, there were survivors.
Yeah, it was...
Not many.
Well, about half.
No, it was less than that.
I think it was about half.
The New York one?
Yeah.
No.
Let me pull up...
You might be right.
Let me pull up the Wikipedia article there. Avianca Flight 52 was a regularly scheduled flight from Bogota to New York via Medellin that crashed on January 25th, 1990 at 21:34. Let's see. 8 of the 9 crew members and 65 of the 149 passengers on board were killed. So yeah, that's about 50-50 right there.
Yeah.
But the survivors are pretty banged up.
I would think.
Well, duh.
Yeah.
You just dropped out of the sky in an airplane.
It was not a very smooth landing.
No, it landed in the woods.
Yeah, it was in someone's yard. Actually, I mean, I think they had like a big yard, but it was like in someone's yard. Like, I think the person whose house was nearby called up, like, an airplane just crashed into our yard. So yeah.
Yeah, and initially you get it. Yeah, sure, buddy.
They didn't have a good place to ditch was part of the problem, because I think the thing came to like a screeching halt on the side of a slope. Whereas if they could have gone somewhere where they could have like skidded for a while, that might have helped with the impact some. I don't know. That seems to make sense to me as far as physics go.
When you're running out of fuel, you're not looking at a lot of places you can get to.
No, well, they should have been, because they had coast power.
It could have been changing one big impact to many, many, many impacts.
Well, I mean, there is a technique called ditching. I mean, as your last resort, you got to ditch the plane, and you got to take certain things into consideration. Like sometimes ditching has
the only time that really comes to a good effect is water landings. Landings,
No, water landings are worse. Water landings, the plane will, like hit water, and like the engines will hit it, and they'll just send it flipping and out of control. And
that one that landed on the Hudson went wow.
That went well.
Nobody died.
Yeah, very smooth.
That was a very smooth, very good ditch, and that took some skill. That was quite miraculous.
And believe me, when you're about to land on water, you pick up a lot of skill real quick.
Yeah.
There have been other attempts that did not go quite that well.
Right.
That resulted in the plane flipping out of control and breaking up.
I remember doing 50 miles an hour around the 20-mile-an-hour S-curve on gravel. We didn't know about that because the sign was hidden. From a 50-mile-an-hour zone down to a 20-mile-an-hour S-curve. Oh, my God.
So
panic, but skill came over, snap right in.
So I'm at the point
and luck
where weeks ago, I told my supervisor, I asked my supervisor, what are we doing? We can't get laptops for Windows 7 anymore. And I've gone to the infra team and told them we need a plan to roll out Windows 10. And all they'll tell me is, I can't authorize that unless you test it. You got to come up with a plan to test it, and you got to test it. And I'm like, well, let's do it department by department. And then they shut that down. Like, well, no, because then if you got like an end of quarter or something and something go wrong, but I'm like, well, you tell me you need me to test it. I come up with a plan to test it, and you shut me down. And then I go to my supervisor. I'm like, we need the come up with a plan. Yeah, I'm having a meeting with the other supervisor, and they have meetings. And they come back with, yeah, well, we're trying to decide if we want to go with our image or we want to go with their image. We're nowhere close to being ready for their image. Or we want to, figure out if we're going to continue buying Lenovo laptops or if we're going to buy Dell laptops, since that's what the parent company uses. And it's like, dude, we're not ready to make changes yet to the process. We're not there. It's like we need to do. We don't have time to figure this out. We need to get some fucking laptops in this building, and we need to get them out to people. And so I'm sending that, email that's basically like, I want to make sure everyone understands how urgent this is. And I'm still getting replies with resistance. But I did include, not only did I include my boss and my boss's boss on the email chain, but I include my boss's boss's boss in the CC line. And I'm really hoping that he seems to be kind of a calm but logical guy. And I think I might need him to intervene. And What would really be ideal would be if he stepped in and said, everyone needs to listen to that guy right there, you know, and let me run with this. But I don't.
Or somebody else's plan. Oh, but nobody's actually looking at it.
No, I am so pissed about this. I'm actually going to pull up and read the email response I got.
Now, you know, just sounding like this, sounding like, yeah, they are all confused and combobulated and all like that. But you are their IT guy. Fix any problem that come up. Keep it running. That's it.
So the email I wrote laid out the situation as I saw it, and I propose the following. 1, prepare a Windows 10 image for testing. And after each one of my steps, he put a response. So-and-so is working on this. However, we've had an image heavily tested by IT since March. That was never the issue. No one knows where that image is. I talked to the guy that's preparing the new image, and he doesn't have an image. So, no, do we have a current image? Is that image up to date? I can't get a straight answer out of anyone. So it's like, whatever, Infra needs to decide what image we're testing. Get me an image, and we'll go test it. 2, deploy 2 Windows 10 test machines. I have some laptops that can do that, to a department for testing. This will not replace laptops, but will be used by that department to test all of their systems and everything they do. His reply: didn't we put together a test user list? Us picking 2 users in our office is perfectly fine if we get sign off to do so. I don't think we need to do the same department. Also, what is the test plan? Us just giving them laptops and wait to see if anything breaks and they contact us is not a test plan. Is that what I said our test plan was? I thought I laid it out. Will be used by that department to test all of their systems and everything they do. I don't know everything that every department does. So that's why my plan is to give it to them and tell them to test everything. That's my plan. Is that not reasonable? Am I missing something here? Did we ever write the questionnaire? I wrote a little questionnaire, but it was basically a case of test everything. What went wrong? What could use improvement? You know, why is this so complicated of a questionnaire? Here's a computer. Do everything you do with it. Tell me everything that's wrong. How is this not a solid plan?
See, what you need is a team that includes a person from a department, so the guy from the department can actually tell you what they would need to test.
Right, and they could figure that out, and they could basically, that sitting down and coming up with what they need to test is them telling me. So I'm telling them, yes, do that.
Have you asked people in departments to test things?
I have. Like I said, like he pointed out, we actually had put together a list of 2 people from every department, and we sent a mass email out to them letting them know in the coming weeks we will be giving you test machines. And then my boss's boss pulled the plug on the whole thing. And that was because the email migration was coming up. And so that's pushed us back. So now trying to get this plan back into place and get a version of it that like steps things up so that we can actually not run out of laptops and end up in a position where we are not prepared to onboard people.
Right.
So here's what he wrote. Bare minimum, I'd want someone in the help desk asking them to go through every workflow they go through in a week/quarter, then go through everything they use in Okta. Web apps specifically need to be tested. I think test all of their systems and everything they do is pretty much a different wording of the same thing he just said. Except,
yeah, but okay, but then now, if you want to be bureaucratic back, maybe list some of the steps. Say, you run this type of program so that you can check to see if there's any lag or lockups, blah,
right.
blah, blah. And whatever, little things like that. Make a little list of stuff like that so they have something to reference on so they can't say, well, you're not specific on what you're testing for. Ta-da, problem solved.
Yeah. Well, basically, here's the thing. I'm kind of pissed off that I outlined a pretty, thorough, give it to them, have them test everything they do, go over it with them. I basically said it without having to lay down every little thing in a 20-page fucking email. But this is easy enough. Basically, my response to that line will be, yes, sir, that is a great plan. I'm glad you thought of it. We will do our testing that way. Thank you.
Yeah, right.
So there
welcome to the world of corporates.
No, that's my response to his suggestion. Even though it's like that's what I said, instead of saying, well, that's what I said, isn't it? I'm going to come back with, oh my God, that's a great idea. I'm glad you came up with that.
Yeah, make it his idea.
Now back to my list. Number 3, make any necessary tweaks, fixes to the image based on our testing with that department. Continue testing as needed. His comment, see above. Touché. Number 4, once confident that the department is comfortable with the test image, deploy new Windows 10 PCs to entire department. His response, full stop, we aren't doing departments. That's asking for something to break at quarter end, or if someone forgot that super important workflow they do once a year. Well, how the hell are we deploying Windows 10 if we're not deploying it to departments? I don't understand what the heck his logic is here.
Well, in a way, I can somewhat see it. If you're doing some really important shit, you don't want to be deviating from that course.
Which is why we're thoroughly testing within a department. Instead of doing a mass migration across the board, we're doing it department by department and thoroughly testing everything that department does and then replacing their laptops. And then we have their old laptops to backfill where needed.
So maybe he wants to roll it out individual by individual. So
that
3
was
from this department, this from this other department, and
that
this
was
from this
never
other department.
that was never the plan, and that was never discussed. The plan always ended with a mass rollout. It always ended with a mass rollout. I'm just saying, let's do mass rollout by chunks instead of mass rollout across the board. So I don't understand why, when I come up with a smaller scale version of the same thing we've discussed for months, all of a sudden it's a horrible idea.
It sounds like for that particular time, yeah.
So how many employees are you talking about?
I think you're not really seeing it that much from their side of the story.
Yes. His argument against rolling it out the way I suggested rolling out is, well, what if something goes wrong? Well,
while they're doing something important.
Well, any plan I come up with can be rebutted with, but what if something goes wrong?
If it's not important, then you could argue it. But this sounds, fairly important. And they're not sure which department will have the most impact.
Well, I didn't even name a department in this email.
It doesn't matter. It could be any department that has the most important job.
Well, okay, then I guess we just don't roll out Windows 10 then.
If you're not able to convince them, it sounds like that's about it.
We can't buy computers that support Windows 7 anymore.
Well, like I said before, you're an IT guy. You're expected to fix it and have them work until we can find another solution.
Okay, great. How do you suggest I do that?
You got software. You can find some old hardware from some computers that are sitting on the side. Whatever. Do something.
But Venison,
you're supposed to be a genius. Do it.
I request priority landing.
What did we hire you for?
We are running out of fuel. We are running out of fuel, Venison, and you won't let me land this plane. We're going to end up in someone's yard. We're running out of fuel.
Did the airport let them land? No, kept them out there. So keep going as you can go.
Head for the Hudson River.
Yeah, head for the Hudson River.
Even if you're in Boston.
So you know what his suggestion is?
What?
His suggestion is, here's what we do. We buy a bunch of Windows 10 machines, and we give those out only as needed for new hires and replacements. without any testing.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's brilliant, because that guy isn't even coming up to speed on what he does.
Right.
So he's the new guy's going to be the guinea pig, and he'll be frustrated.
Right. So
Yep.
So basically,
That's their job.
my plan doesn't have enough testing in it. So our alternate plan is to not do testing and hand out Windows 10 laptops as needed, and then having a complete unorganized mixture of Windows 10 and Windows 7 computers in our department, and just keep punting until we get around to testing, which will be never, and eventually everyone will be on Windows 10. And I keep telling him, this is the road you're taking us down. You're taking us down the road of getting on Windows 10 across the board slowly after everything is eventually replaced. That's the we're at the point where we're rolling it out anyways, and you're trying to pretend like this is controlled and only as needed, and you're only approving whatever's absolutely needed. And this is not a plan. This is not a plan.
Maybe a lot of people like their Windows 7 machine, says someone on XP.
Well, that's stupid. That goes to show you don't like your Windows 7 machine.
Only because, like I said, it kept crashing, but I haven't had a chance to extensively test it on this setup.
Anyways, so yeah, I am running out of fuel. I need to land. And this is what I get. This is the response I get from I am running out of fuel. I need to land. I don't know.
Isn't work wonderful?
Dune writes in, how many paid programs are being used? Well, we basically, when I set up an image, it has Office, it has a PDF program on it, it has 3 different chat programs on it because no one could pick one. The VPN software. It's a pretty basic, straightforward image. The big thing is there's a lot of web apps that we use in our corporate environment, and that's what they really want to make sure gets tested. Now, mind you, as he pointed out, we've done a lot of testing of Windows 10 within the world of IT. So we've had a lot of people using Windows 10 in our environment and have fixed a lot of the first basic problems. We're basically down at the point where it's going to be little things here or there from specialized things in departments. And if we get a few people on a few Windows 10 machines, and here's the thing, if someone comes to us, oh my God, it's the end of the quarter and I can't do my job because this Windows 10 machine has broken everything, I can have a Windows 7 machine in their hands in 15 minutes. Especially considering, as I upgrade them all to Windows 10 machines, I'm going to have piles and piles and piles of Windows 7 machines on my desk. If, oh my God, an emergency is broken out, I could grab a spare Windows 7 machine. I got 5 spare Windows 7 machines next to my desk in case someone goes, oh my God, my computer broke. So I can say, here's a loaner, go take one of these. This is
you'll
not
recognize it because this was your old machine.
These are not real problems.
Yeah.
Now, Dune says web apps, they are not affected by a Win version, only browsers. Well, some things might be, I don't, you'd think that. You'd think that, wouldn't you? That would make sense. Mm-hmm. Now, Dune's also suggesting everyone gets a Windows 10 and a Windows 7 VM. And yes, we have VMs at the ready that I could easily assign to someone. That's one of the things that is installed on every machine on the image is the VMware app, so that if someone has permission to access a VM, which all our VMs are Windows 7, they can log into that and launch a machine that they're assigned to. And I can very easily assign someone a VM. Now, our VM server is highly outdated, in need of some fixing up, and runs very, very slowly. So it's not a very good solution at this time, but yeah. So, yeah, this is my world. This is the bureaucratic nightmare that I am coming home pulling. This is why I have no hair. This is where my hair went. You know, Brian,
How many employees are there?
I think in my building there's like 500.
Yeah.
Wait, or 400. You know what? Let me check my resume, because I found out that's a question that recruiters and employers that are looking to hire ask a lot. And so at some point I sat down, did a little bit of math, and did some estimates, and put the number of employees for all my jobs on the resume. And I am horrible with estimating counts like that, so I don't know how accurate it is. But I got asked it so much that I had to keep making up numbers every time I got asked. And I figured, well, I may as well put them down on here. So let's take a look at what I actually wrote down on my resume. And maybe you could tell me if the Tharco number makes sense or not, because I really guessed. I'm awful at guessing numbers like that. I really am. Let's see. Let's see. In an office of 325 plus employees, plus 7 remote offices and 100 plus remote employees. So I actually pulled up a seating chart and counted. There are 325 people in the building I work in. So I was off a little bit there with my 500 estimate. I said that there were...
Do you have outside users?
Yeah. That's why I said 100 plus remote employees, which was a really rough guesstimate.
Basically, it comes down to a lot of people.
Yeah. I said that Tharco, I was in an office of 100 plus employees. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, something.
Something like that. Something like that. No, this is Brian. He worked in that building.
Right. And it depends, because, the staff would grow and shrink depending on how much money they were making.
Dune writes in, you should work for a school. Then it's, hey, Johnny, should we use the black Chromebook or the silver Chromebook? That I can handle. I could do that. Brian, and Brian can back me up on this because he's somewhat familiar. It was starting to happen, but when I started to work in IT and I took on my first IT job working at the bank in Maine, I had a full head of hair. I did. When I came into my second IT job at Tharco, I had a bald spot in the back, but I still had hair covering this. Do you remember that, Brian? Remember when I had hair?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, but we worked on removing that. Yeah.
So when I started working at IT, I had a full head of hair. This is what working jobs like this has done to me.
See, you're almost ready to get into Linux and administration and become that elitist prick.
I tell you what, let me show you something.
I can see that happening.
Can I show you something? I'd like to show you something. I'm gonna bring up a window here, and I'm gonna share my screen over here. This right here is a Oracle VM VirtualBox Manager. And as you can see, I've got a virtual XP machine because my DTS encoder doesn't play nice with Windows 10. I got a Windows 98 machine to have a little retro fun with the resident CD-ROM games because they won't work in a modern OS. And I have Ubuntu 18.04.1 desktop, Ubuntu Studio 18.10, Ubuntu Mate, and Kubuntu, because they can't just have one Ubuntu. They got like 10 of them. And so I've picked 4 of them to try out and try to decide which one I want to put on my laptop, which, by the way, I fixed up the LCD on Marvin's old laptop. So I've been kicking that one around. So here we go. I double click on here and we'll fire up a Ubuntu desktop here, and heck, we'll double click on this one. It's okay. I got 32 gigs of RAM on this machine, so I can open up plenty of. Actually, I think I set each of these to use 4 gigs, and if I open up all 4 of them at once, I'm only using half the RAM of my whole machine. So there we go. So here. Well, wait. Whoa, what's happening? All right, so there we go. There's Ubuntu Mate down there, and we'll put desktop up there, and we'll put Studio there, and let's get Kubuntu here, and get that running here. So I don't know, Brian, you have any experience with Ubuntu?
Not really.
No.
But it's a Debian clone, so no big deal.
No big deal. So we got 4 different Debian clones to choose from here.
Right.
Now, Ubuntu Studio is supposed to be good for like audio production type stuff or whatever, and that's why I downloaded that one. But then it's like, well, I'm looking to throw this on a laptop to just kind of bang around and run some, browse and check messages and email on. So maybe I don't need the Ubuntu Studio for my, beater laptop. But I got the standard desktop here, and it's got this stuff pinned, but I don't have like my menu in the corner. And I'm like, what happened? Linux apparently has evolved beyond the start menu. Linux has decided that Microsoft is on to something with Windows 8, and I don't know. So I figured I'd grab like these old ones and see what they did in place of that. So here's Kubuntu, and Kubuntu does still have a start menu, so I kind of like that. And then here's Ubuntu Mate, which gives me this nice welcome window when I first run. But that also, I believe, has a oh no, that's restore hidden windows. The menu's up in the top corner instead of the bottom. So yeah, I've got 4 virtual Linux machines on my computer here. Now, is that cool, Brian, or is that cool?
That is really cool.
That is.
I mean, it looks like you really know what you're doing.
It does. I don't have a clue, but it looks like.
Right. But they come up.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And
if you had just a dead screen, yeah, you got a problem.
Yeah. Now I think
apparently Kodi is for regression testing, so there's another version of Debian that you can get.
Now they have stopped responding, so maybe opening 4 Linux virtual machines at once on the same machine was not a smart idea. Because notice I'm clicking on things here, and I'm clicking on this menu here, and I can't quite get anything to work. So we might have to pick one of these and turn off the other 3. And I might have to force them off. Oh no, wait! I could just save the. Oh, well, there we go. That one. See, that has a start menu, and we could almost see it. Oh, okay. They're now responding. And so yeah. So I'm thinking one of these I'm gonna put on my lap. Now I did install Ubuntu Desktop on the laptop, and then I decided, well, let me play around a bit and pick one, and I might end up like putting. I think I'm going to put one of these two, Ubuntu Mate or Kubuntu, because there's good like desktop with start menu and stuff like that. So if you out there in listener land have any thoughts about Linux or what you like to do with Linux or what you want to do with Linux, and what you want to see me do at Linux, do feel free to write in. And let's see. Dune writes in, we use that too. What, Ubuntu or...
Which?
or silver Chromebooks.
Now, I do have a question.
Okay. Go ahead.
Now, because of all the different types of Linuxes that are out there, with Ubuntu and oh god, I forgot the others, but I seen at least about 11 of them.
Red Hat, Debian, Mandrake. Gentoo,
exactly.
SUSE.
Which would you prefer as the premium choice so far as you've seen?
Now, mind you, I have very limited experience with Linux, so I'm the wrong person to ask. But also
here's a suggestion.
Notice that I've gravitated towards Ubuntu. I've heard Ubuntu's a name that gets thrown around a lot. Apparently it's something that's it's based off of, it's a Debian clone, but it's made to be user friendly. I think that's the current recommended starting point. Earlier days, people recommended Mandrake to me, but that was like over 10 years ago. Mandrake and Red Hat were good starter Linuxes.
Is Mandrake still around?
I don't know. That
and
shows
Red Hat. I got pissed off at Red Hat because they dropped supporting their free version. They only wanted to support clients that are paying them money.
Right. Now, when I was playing playing around with Red Hat Linux. I kind of remember the vibe I got from Red Hat Linux was they were in this for the money. Like, you could buy that, and they pushed their support packages or their money. Like, more Linux had this like free open source, it's free spirit. And when you went to Red Hat, they didn't smell like that. They smelled like business people. Now I did like a one of the games that came with Red Hat Linux, but that alone's not a good reason for it. But it was really popular for a time, but you don't hear much about it these days.
Oh yeah, it was.
What game was that?
I don't. It was kind of like Reversey, but different.
Oh, okay.
Like, it was the type of game where you put down, you're playing two colors, putting pieces down the board, and pieces turn over based on where you put pieces, but it wasn't reversey. It wasn't pieces in between two of the same color. I think it was like adjacent pieces would turn over.
Wow.
Something like that. It was kind of like reversey, but different.
So, Venison, let me answer the question about which Linux. If you're playing around with a lot of hardware connected to your machine, and we're talking about anything, various cameras or scanners or
Flashlights,
this, that, the other thing, music machines or whatever, the best chance of it working is if you go with the plain Jane Debian, because that's where it all starts. So if they're making a driver for something, they put it on Debian first.
Now Debian also has the reputation of being your more advanced Linux. That's like, learn one of the easier ones, then go with Debian. Now, mind you, that was advice I was getting back when people were recommending Mandrake Linux to me, which I don't even know is around. I will say, though, back when I played with Linux distributions in the early 2000s, so we're talking, 15 years ago, I didn't like Mandrake. I forgot the reason why I ruled that out, that it wouldn't work for me. I kind of liked Red Hat. I ended up liking Debian the best out of all of them, which I tried it on a whim because everyone was saying, oh, that's one of the hard ones. And I liked the feel and look of that better than Red Hat and Mandrake. What really upset me, though, was how difficult it was to install all the packages you needed to get a video player. Like, it gave me a list of like 20 packages I needed before I could install the video player. And then when I went to install the first in that list of 20 packages, it gave me a list of 20 packages that package needed me to install. And I was like, damn it, Johnny wants his porn now. And so I went back to Windows.
Never mind.
I used to be less blunt when I told that story. At this point, I don't fucking care anymore. Yeah. So
what you do is you go on the Linux forums with the elitist pricks, explain what you've gone through in excruciating detail, and end with that line.
I think Ubuntu is kind of the go-to these days, though. So you recommend Debian if you got hardware, because if it's going to have a driver, it's going to be in Debian. But how long does it take for it to get from Debian to Ubuntu when Ubuntu is a Debian clone?
And that's a good question, and I don't know the answer.
And Ubuntu's very popular, so my guess would be pretty quickly. But that's a guess.
Once the fixed drive, and that's the thing, is that you can go to Debian and get a driver that doesn't really work well.
Yeah.
Because you've got the early version. So maybe it goes through some cycles there, and then the Ubuntu people say, okay, now it works, so let's just add that to our library so our people can use it.
Now, and the thing is even like giving you an answer like Ubuntu, because like I showed you, I just spun up 4 completely different flavors of Ubuntu right now. So there's not just one Ubuntu anymore. So it's... Right. But what I would say? I would say...
Well, what you need to do is figure out what is the basic theme behind that version of Ubuntu. In other words, why did he make this new version?
Right. Well, I think...
Because they all have specialties.
Well, but even the specialties aren't that special. Like Ubuntu Mate and Kubuntu, I think, are both like, easy desktop type of things. Whereas the actual Ubuntu is supposed to be a desktop, but they lay it out very differently now. Like they don't have a start menu. And that I don't understand why the current Ubuntu moved away from that. But, then again, if I use it more, I probably get used to that.
And maybe the applications that use it kind of go, we don't want a damn menu system.
Like, I think it doesn't come... Well, the bottom of the left bar that has a bunch of things pinned has show applications. And then there...
Really specific.
It brings up tiles of all your applications with a search bar. And that's the direction that Microsoft's tried to lead people, that a lot of people are stubborn to go to. That, instead of clicking start and looking for your thing, just type what you want and we'll bring it up. And I don't want to do that because I've never done it that way. I want my start menu. Get off my lawn. So, yeah, I'll admit that I'm probably being stubborn like that, but you know what? My machine, my rules. If I want to be stubborn, fuck it. I'm going to be stubborn.
Yeah.
I wish I could. I just realized something that, I started thinking about all the Linux installs that I have, and I realized I don't have them anymore because they're in the box with the other disks that was left behind.
Well, it's pretty easy to grab. It's pretty easy to grab a USB stick and download an ISO and make a USB installer off of the ISO and boot up to it. That's the thing. I've installed Ubuntu a few times now. Easy install. Now, actually using it, I don't know yet.
I kind of gathered you can get new versions of whatever, but I think some of these were also, well, never mind. They might have even been cracked. Who knows?
Anyways,
it would have just been nice to have them.
Well, build some new ones.
Yeah, now I got to build new ones.
Yeah.
And that's going to take a while, amongst many other things that got to be rebuilt here.
Anyways, now that we've talked about Linux, and I'd like to get more into Linux stuff on this show and get techie again, but I'm not sure quite how to work that in and what to do with that. So
especially if you don't know that much about Linux.
Right. Well, if you don't know that much, that means that you got some, there's a lot you could learn and do with that. Dune wrote in, some of our peeps have Win 10 Dells. They took Win 10 off, installed the Penguin, and run a Win 10 VM. They don't let... I remember I had this new hire that was in the development team. And the development team generally runs off of Macs. And I don't know what they do on those Macs, but we give it to them, and they take care of them for the most part. Sometimes one of my coworkers might help them, if something comes up like, the antivirus isn't working right. But generally, they do their own little developing thing in their developing world and are happy as can be, and they leave us alone and we leave them alone on their Macs. And so he was hired to be on that team. His hiring manager asked us to build him a Mac. I sat down with him. I gave him a Mac. And now, mind you, he was on board with a few other people that week that were not in developing. So they all got, Lenovo, Windows laptops. And so after the orientation, he asked me, hey, could I get one of those Lenovo laptops? And I said, we could probably make that happen. We could. He's like, I really don't do Mac all that much. And I could figure it out, or, I could build a VM in here, but, why don't you give me, I'm like, okay, well, I'll build the Windows. He's like, oh, you don't even have to image it. I'm going to install Linux on it. I'm like, yeah. The thing is our, server team and our security team, they want to control anything that's on our environment. So I basically I got to run it by them. And I sent out an email. People ignore it because whatever, I'll read that later. But he kept hounding me hey, could I get that laptop to build that Linux machine? And I'm like, well, we got to check with the security team needs to sign off on something like that. He's like, oh, don't worry. It'll be the most secure machine on your network. I'm like, yeah, I don't think that answer's going to be good enough for my security team, though. Yeah. So at the end of the day, they basically said, you could give him that, but he can't do anything to directly access our network with it. He could join the guest network and get to the internet, but that's, basically it turned into, and then of course, at some point after we're discussing this, it's like, why are we spending so much time discussing this? His supervisor asked for him to have a Mac. His team uses Macs. Who in the fuck is this guy? And so I kind of had to go back and politely say, no, your team uses Macs. We issued you what your supervisor asked for. Do it on a Mac. Build a virtual environment in there. I think some others do. It's like, yeah. I built a virtual machine. It just would have been easier for me. I'm like, yeah, well, look, this is what your team does. Thank you. Kindly fuck off. I didn't say that.
Right.
So let's transition off of talking about Johnny's workplace, because Ellipsis Triangle Trap writes in, which it is a show about Ellipsis Triangle Trap.
That's right.
For a while, I used Xubuntu with an X. It was generally pretty easy to use, but some drivers were confusing to install. I still don't understand how to manually install packages or compile code. Yeah, that's the thing, is that Linux, like, you got to open up a command prompt, and you got to type in apt-get blah, 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 blah. And I don't understand how people in chat rooms have every package installation command line memorized. I would go into a chat room and ask how to do something, and someone might take a little mercy on me and start typing, 20-line commands. And it's like, how in the hell do you know all of that? Did you look that up somewhere and copy-paste it? No, I just typed it out. I'm like, yeah.
I mean, there is a pattern to it.
I never figured it out.
Right.
So yeah, that is something I don't. Now here's the thing I will say about Ubuntu. When I was playing around with it, I opened it up and I started searching for things, and it basically showed me apps I can install, like from an app store, and you double click and it installs the package. And it's like, oh my god, Linux finally figured out that they have a GUI they could use. Took them long enough.
You know what? Actually, it's been there all along. There is an app that runs apt-get in the background. It's called Synaptic.
Then how come no one ever told me this when I asked how to use Linux?
I don't know, because they don't use it. Here's what I don't actually use it to install things. I use that to look for what programs are out there. What can I get? And I may manually go to apt-get to tell it, okay, get that.
So you look at a screen that has a button on it that you could push to do what you want it to do, and then you go, oh, that's good to know. And then you open up a command line and type out a whole bunch of text to do what pushing that button would do.
Yes.
You, sir, are insane.
No, but that's old school.
A sane man would push the button.
Oops, sorry. I just pulled my head out.
Yes, you need to pull your head out of something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So I say that line again when I.
You need to pull your head out of something, is what I said.
Right. No, before that.
Before that, you are insane. A sane man would push that button.
See, the thing, though, that I don't like about the GUI...
There's always a thing.
So you go, okay, install, and then this miniature window scrolls all what happened, and then it disappears. Sometimes you don't even know whether it was installed or not. I'm going to go to the command line then and look for those messages that I missed.
I see. Okay. So this is like when you double click on an executable that runs in the in DOS, and it opens up a DOS window that immediately closes after it's done, so you can't even see the error message and why it didn't install.
Exactly.
Because, like, it would be really easy to program something within Windows to keep the DOS window open after an executable's run so that you can read it, but
so you can hit a button to close it.
But no one in Microsoft has figured out that would be desirable or to put that in.
Exactly.
And the Linux people have this same problem.
Yeah, because they can look at the command line because that's how they use it.
So push the button, and if you don't have your program, then open up the command prompt and type it in and read your error.
If you can figure out what the frickin' error is. Have you ever hunted for various error logs? They're all over the goddamn place.
But before you start
there's no
looking,
rhyme or reason for it.
But what does that have to do with whether or not you push the button?
Well, when you push the button and it fails, it throws something in some random error log someplace on the machine.
So then you open up your prompt and you do the manual way, and then you read it. This way you only have to open up a prompt to run things that have failed.
Actually, I have a command prompt up one all the time.
Of
That's
course
like the
you
first thing I do.
Because you're one of those elitist pricks that always has a prompt open.
You got it. You got to.
But you can still push
the.
What does the prompt forbid you from pushing buttons as long as it's open?
Venison, you got to be with me on this.
No.
Right?
No, be with me. Come to the GUI side.
The reason why we're actually talking about this is that we're here to convert you into an elitist prick. And guess what? The jobs are out there, and you make a lot more money because that's what elitist pricks do.
I'm going to make even more money because I'm going to do what you do more efficiently by pushing buttons.
So get with the Linux people and start creating those buttons.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. You know what?
Fantasy world.
Speaking of pushing buttons and pissing off people, it's time once again for dollar bin specials.
Yay!
For what?
I think this is the one and only time I actually had a good transition on this show. But it is that holiday season again. And for the month of December, I always like to feature Christmas classics, many of which can be had for $1 for dollar bin specials. And so you know what? I'm going to start with an old favorite. I know I've broken this out last year, and I probably broke this out 2 years ago because I think I've had this record for about 2 years now. And I tell you, when it's time to, Christmas Eve is approaching and I need to put some desserts together, that's the night I save the special records for. And, Bert Kaempfert always comes out that night. And this one also always comes out that night. And,
run, people, run.
And
Jim Neighbors, right?
Jim Neighbors. No, I don't have that one. No, this would be Ira Iron Strings. Now that is one of the best Christmas records of all time, I say.
Did you have some of the Iron Strings before?
Yeah, I've
in the past.
I have featured this record last year and the year before. It's that good that I have to break it out every year. Got to be that Dixieland thing going. And I think I've posted links to YouTube clips of it on Twitter in the past. Yes, this is not the first time I've mentioned this album. I just want to remind everyone, this album still exists. And if you haven't picked up a copy yet, you should. Heck, this copy still has the $1 price tag on it from when I picked it up. So there you go. You keep your eyes out for this. If you find a copy, heck, you might even be able to find it for 50 cents.
Next question. Is it out in 8-track?
That is a good question. And a question I will answer as soon as I get my webcam to focus again.
And is it in surround?
No. Actually, this record is monophonic. But that's okay. There probably is a stereo mix. But I'm happy with the whatever mix. Any mix of this album is awesome. All right, let me see. Ira Iron String. Oh, come on. Get back in the field there. Ira Iron Strings. Let's just search eBay for Ira Iron Strings in general and see. Oh, there are Ira Iron Strings other formats. There's an Ira Iron Strings reel-to-reel tape that does not include Christmas music. So, if this was released on 8-track, I can't find one on eBay at any point in time. But if I keep my eyes out, I might find one.
What year is this album came out?
What year did it come out? 1959.
Okay, that's too early, right?
Too early? How is that too early? Well,
8-Track was 55-ish.
Well,
but they didn't really get popular until the 60s.
Yeah, but that album was probably reissued for many years to come after that.
Right.
All right. So another
potentially.
I wonder what the 50s 8-track player must look like back then.
Yeah, right.
He's like, say like a 57. Knowing the cabinet styles of the year. He'll have a home model that's about the size of a cabinet drawer.
Now another this is one I didn't grow up with, but a lot of people probably did grow up with, and this album came to my attention because a lot of the music from it is featured on the U-Log special that airs on WPIX channel 11 in New York, New Jersey, Christmas morning every year. And
whoa, fire!
And I also found out a lot of the songs on this album are featured on the background music tape that I love to listen to every Christmas. This is the Old Sweet Songs of Christmas, Frank DeVol and the Rainbow Strings. And I mean, I heard of this album because it was featured on the U-Log site, because a lot of the music's on the U-Log. And so I was shopping at like a little like kind of thrift antique type store that has a lot of beat up records in the back. And they're all $1 each. And this one was in there and wasn't that beat up for dollar bin.
Muzak.
So, yeah. This is definitely the type of thing that would end up on Muzak type stuff.
Yeah, Muzak for background.
But it's really well done. I think this is a pretty good album. And it is in stereo. So yeah, this is another one good classic to keep your eyes out for in dollar bins across the nation.
I gotta admit, I was thrilled.
And YouTube is surely to flag that song.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh yeah, that'll get flagged. And check it out. It's on the old style Columbia 6i label.
Whoa, classic.
Yeah.
That was a good movie.
What?
Oh, the March of the Wooden Soldiers. That's what that song title was.
Oh, yes. Now, my next three selections are what if you want to celebrate maybe in a different international type of way? You know, what if you wanted to, go south and kind of celebrate? Dune is saying no Christmas music. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. We're gonna head on down south and celebrate Christmas in Mexico. Here we go. This was free. This was a gift from Gothard. Because Gothard saw that and thought, I know who would like that. Here we go, Christmas in Mexico. Carols and Seasonal Favorites by Hermano Zavala. Come on, everyone sing along. You know the words.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm listening to how they incorporate, that language. It's something in that is kind of Americanized. And yeah, I can see it.
What I really wanted was, the Mexican Christmas album featuring some mariachi band. That's what I really want.
Well, you know what? It's funny you should mention that, Brian, because I do.
That really throws the tempo off.
I do have another option here, which I've seen multiple copies of this in dollar bins in Goodwills across the country. This is quite an easy to find, readily available, cheap album called Tijuana Christmas.
Oh, of course.
Oh, like harpsichord, right?
Tijuana.
Well, to start things off. There we go.
Yep, there they are.
This is more what you were looking for?
It's kind of Tijuana rather than mariachi, but
You know
This
what?
one has to be the Tijuana, what they call it? The famous, guys.
Oh, well, that brings us to our next selection. If you want something a little more authentic than your generic $1
That's
Tijuana
right,
Christmas
Tijuana
album,
Brass.
then you could always, and this was a freebie. This actually was Pete's record. The Pete that we both know. Yeah. This is, so of course you could go with the Herb Albert and the Tijuana Brass Christmas album.
That was it.
Here you go. Starts a little choir here, but I'm sure we should be hearing some Tijuana Brass. So you want mariachi rather than Tijuana?
yeah, kind of.
I'll have to see if I can dig up anything for next week. But no,
Okay.
Tijuana Christmas easy to find. Mariachi, I don't know.
God, there's such a distinctive sound.
Anyways, this should be breaking into something brassy pretty soon.
So why don't you fast forward it a little?
Here we go. There we go. Now we know it's going to start when the drum starts coming in like that.
Oh, with choir.
Yeah. See, this is better than the cheap dollar. You know what? You want to get them both. These both go great back to back. So there you go. Those are some really good Christmas options.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll keep them brief since, Dune's like screaming at us. Although he might have tuned out by now. So, yeah. Now,
Play that Mexican music.
now, if you don't like Mexican Christmas music, you could always try to build a wall around it to get... Never mind.
And they'll pay for it.
Yeah, they'll pay for it.
So we go frequently down to Santa Maria, and the town is called Santa Maria, not St. Mary's, if you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
And we meet with my sister-in-law fairly frequently at this one Mexican restaurant. And we've been to this other, and it's really good. We've been to this other one in the past where on the weekend they have a mariachi band come. And I kind of want to go, but the whole idea is to go to a place that's kind of quiet and we talk and stuff like this, and it ain't going to be quiet with a mariachi band. So
No.
we haven't gone to that one.
No, mariachi
Recently.
is Mexican for not quiet, I think.
Probably.
Probably. That's and La Quinta means next to the Denny's.
Right. Exactly. Right. The thing I like about the mariachi band is that you got the guy in that he brings in this huge bass that looks like an acoustic guitar, just Bigfoot's version of the electric bass.
Right. Now, the last selection I have in the Christmas category is this was something I found for $1 at Amoeba in San Francisco, actually, or Berkeley, I forget which one. This is the first annual Radiola Company Christmas album, release number 4. And this includes a Christmas episode of the Amos and Andy show on side A, and side B has a episode of Truth or Consequence. And this right here would be the episode of Amos and Andy that aired on December 24th, 1950.
Oh, those guys.
Radio's all-time favorites, Amos and Andy.
So this is how radio is supposed to be done, maybe, if we were professional, I wonder if this will get flagged.
Well, this is Sunday, Christmas Eve. But let's go back to yesterday morning. Andy's out with Amos's little girl, Arbadella, on their annual tour of the store windows.
Well, let's look in this window, Uncle Andy.
Yeah, they sure got a lot of toys in there, ain't they?
I've never seen so many toys. It's just like something you dream about.
Yeah. Hey, there's something cute there. There's a paint set. Look what it says there. Junior paint set, $12.95, complete with easel.
What's an easel, Uncle Andy?
Easel? It's one of them things, well, all artists has got them. They can't do without them.
That was funny? Oh, yeah, that was funny. That was easel. He don't know what an easel is.
Got a little
Yeah,
on
that's
keeps
it.
the head warm
Trying to
while the
explain
paint's
it.
Yeah.
Kid.
Oh, Uncle Andy, you know everything, don't you?
Well, most everything. A couple of things might have slipped by me. I don't know.
Oh, look, that's cute. What does that say?
That's a baby doll set, complete with preambulator.
What's a preambulator, Uncle Andy?
Well, it's just like one of them measles, but it ain't got no tassel on it.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That's so yeah, you can listen to all
So
that.
there you got a punchline.
There you go. You got a punchline. And the other side's got Truth or Consequences. Wasn't that a game show? So
Yes.
And this is episode from December 20th, 1947. So
Holy shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
19
Criticky comedians.
So with these things,
What's that?
so do you think that was from radio?
Yeah, these are radio shows that were put on record. And this was some kind of a club or company or whatever. I don't know how you got these because the back here says none of our records are available in stores. All of our records contain a full hour of programming. Radiola records can be played on any record player, mono or stereo. Radiola records will be issued on a regular schedule right for our free catalog.
Is there a date on when this came out?
The record came out in November 1970.
And here he is, the fellow whose show was again voted #1 audience participation show in the annual awards made by newspapers and radio editors, columnists and critics, conducted by Motion Picture Daily in behalf of Fame magazine. And next to Bing was voted #2 master of ceremonies.
No.
But with us, he's just that does-he guy, Ralph Truth or Consequences Edwards.
Oh, yes, Ralph Edward. I don't know these old radio
I
guys.
certainly want to thank the radio editors and critics for voting Truth or Consequences #1 again. Daddy's proud of his baby. And Harlow, I don't know, I feel so battered and bruised tonight.
How come, Ralph? Because you've been...
Anyways, yeah, you get the idea. We're not going to listen to a radio show during a radio show. But it's an interesting, cheap dollar
Why
record.
don't other people do it?
I suppose. We're just going to play reruns of old 1940s.
And we prefer to do videos for a radio show anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
We got plenty of old-time radio shows and records.
So meanwhile, if Dune is out there still watching, I do have one last selection here that is not Christmas themed. And this was something that Dune saw someone doing a music show on a Twitch channel. And he zoomed in on the box records and was like, Johnny, what is that there? And I think my answer is something to the effect of, I don't know, but I think I got some shopping to do. And that is how this little album came to my attention, called Attention Kmart Choppers. And
Oh, choppers, nice.
Choppers, yes. On Thanksgiving, so basically...
So we're talking about bikers, right?
No.
Oh.
We're talking... Basically, someone that used to work for Kmart noticed that they didn't always throw out their cassettes of background music when they were done with them. And he also noticed that no one would ever miss them. And so he started quietly pocketing them and taking them home. And a few years back now, he recorded them all in and uploaded them to archive.org. And the internet went nuts for it and ate it all up. And that resulted in someone else digging out some 1970s reel-to-reel tapes of Kmart background music that they had and recorded it and uploaded all those. And so this is a guy whose name is what does he go by? Juicy the Emissary. And he took the Kmart background music and sampled it and chopped it up and made some funky beats out of them that sound very retro and modern at the same time, and made it into this album, Attention Kmart Choppers, which you can stream, or you could buy a download version off of Bandcamp, or you could actually buy a vinyl edition. And this came out last year in 2017. And there we go. So I already listened to this whole thing all the way through because I got home, I ate dinner, I came to my room, opened this up, threw it on the turntable, and it was actually finishing up when Brian joined the room and heard some interesting funky beats coming out of my turntable. And there you go. Brand new vinyl.
I'll tell you what.
What's that?
Never mind.
Attention, please. Attention, please.
You're listening to Attention, Kmart Choppers.
Isn't that cool? I mean, it has a modern beat, but very retro sounds.
Yeah, he's a little off on the timing of some of those mixes, but yeah, all right.
I think it's done very well.
Yeah, like that.
Maybe it's Skype messing with it because the timing sounds fine to me. So there you go. That's
Yeah, you didn't hear the edit go by?
Well, it's samples.
That's what I mean. You know, putting, stitching them together.
It's keeping a very.
That's not right.
It's keeping a solid beat. I mean, it was probably done digitally, so you could probably set a metronome to this and have it just come right on beat. But it's samples.
Oh yeah,
it is
that's because of that sample. Now that's a beat throughout the rest of it.
What do you think of it, Brian?
I think it's pretty cool. Now, does he also call in the?
Don't get me wrong, it is cool.
Yeah, it's cool. No, there's no blue light specials referenced on this.
Oh man!
Took the country by storm. But it wasn't until later that another young recording artist took his turn in chopping the music. A recording artist.
But I guess taking music and sampling it, chopping it up, it's a chopper. So that's why it's Kmart Choppers, because he chopped the Kmart music. I like it. This is great.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's really cool to buy a brand new slab of vinyl that just came out last year, and it has some really unique music to it.
And you paid how much for this one?
About $20.
Oh,
$20.
Well, I could have paid less for the download, but it wouldn't have been as cool.
Okay, where do you see like an average LP price for a new LP?
Newly pressed vinyl's probably in about that 20 range. It's a premium product. Yeah. I don't usually buy.
Well, at least I ain't going up that much.
I don't really buy new vinyl. I'm mostly interested in old used vinyl, original vinyl. Like reissuing something on vinyl, it depends. If there's a logical reason for me to. But keep in mind, a lot of these pressing plants are run down, running equipment that was not meant to last as long as it has. A lot of modern pressings is meant to cash in on a craze and backfill supply where supply is drying up. And there's a lot of places that are mastering vinyl from digital files, which I suppose if you end up with a product that sounds good and make people happy, that's fine. But if you're going to use a digital source, just give me the source. Give me a copy of the source. The point of vinyl, to me, is that it's all analog. If you're cutting vinyl that's not all analog, It's probably pointless.
Yes, what's the point?
Now, the thing is, I say that as I play a record that was obviously made from digital files that were digitally manipulated, so there's no chance that this is an all-analog recording here. But this is kitsch. This is just amusement. This is something that I thought was cool, and vinyl was a fitting format for what it was. So
whatever.
I got my exceptions.
Like I said, only just thinking about how much the price have gone up on the average album since they were last out. The last I remember paying for a fairly good album, but not a special release or something, $13.95.
Yeah, I mean, $20 to $30 for a brand new normal supply. Now you get special editions or limited things.
Now $30 is getting up there.
Yeah, no, vinyl is a premium product. You're going to pay more for vinyl than you'd pay for a download or a CD.
I know that too, but I just want looking to see how much.
Okay, well, this record
over the years, and $20 is not bad.
Yeah, this record, you could buy it right now off Amazon for $20.98 with free shipping from Amazon Prime, and but it's a short album. It is only about 12 minutes on each side, but it's a really cool, unique album. And I do like the cover art of it with the whole like vintage Kmart shopping picture there and the Kmart logo.
They're just missing the blue light.
Yeah, they are missing the blue light. That is missing. But yeah, it's a really cool album. I'm really quite happy I bought it. Now, I think what this is, I don't know if this falls under vaporwave, but that brings attention. There's a genre out there now called vaporwave.
What does that mean?
Generally, it has to do with sampling retro music to make... I mean, that's physically what it is, but if I look up... Webster's defines vaporwave as, this word doesn't exist yet, but Wikipedia defines vaporwave as it is a micro-genre of electronic music and an internet meme that emerged in the early 2010s. The style is defined by its appropriation of 1980s and 1990s mood music styles such as smooth jazz, elevator music, R&B and lounge music, typically sampling or manipulating tracks via chop and screwed methods and other effects. Its surrounding subculture is sometimes associated with an ambiguous or satirical take on consumer capitalism and popular culture, and tends to be characterized by a nostalgic or surrealist engagement with the popular entertainment, technology, and advertising of previous decades. It also incorporates early internet imagery, late 1990s web design, glitch art, anime, 3D rendered objects, and cyberpunk tropes in its cover artwork and music videos.
And there's a warning tag on it that says, "Warning, you may get the urge to put on some platform shoes."
Yes, that is... well, no, it's retro for 80s, 90s. So, for example... an album that is quite often referenced as a very popular vaporwave album would be Floral Shop by Macintosh Plus. Let me see if I can find a sample of that album there, so you can kind of get a feel for what
he's trying to say.
What it
sounds like.
What it sounds like. So you hear it has a very
7th floor lingerie.
It really does have a mall music vibe to it, but not what you would have originally heard in the mall.
8th floor hardware.
Yeah. Now this is
floor appliances.
Fifth floor, 40 clicks.
So, yeah, there you go. And to give you, let's see if I can find a good large image of the... Let's see if I can find a good image of the cover art for this album, so you get an idea of the that like 90s digital look that it has. Trying to find a high-res copy. Now, mind you,
there is vocals in there. I thought I was imagining it at first.
Yeah. This is Diana Ross slowed down.
That's Diana Ross?
Yeah. Let's see if I can figure out what the... I need to remember what the original song was so I can pull it up for you and demonstrate.
This is how I did a lot of my cutting and pasting.
So I take it they made their voice the voice lower.
It's been pitched to be slowed down and chopped. Right. So this song particularly chops Diana Ross with other things, of course, but it's primarily...
So she didn't transgender on us.
No. Someone just set their 33 to 16.
They got an effect. They're going to use them.
Here we go. Here's the original.
This is for the express elevator.
Yes. So we're definitely getting flagged for that.
Yeah.
So they took this song, slowed down samples from it and loops from it, and put effects on it, added maybe some other beats and things like that, and that's vaporwave.
Funny that they would pick that name because the word vaporware was the term used for a product that was promised to come out that never came out. It was vaporware.
Yeah, I'm not sure what if vaporwave references that or not, or what the name means. Yeah. Let's see. History. Vaporwave originated on the internet as an ironic variant of chillwave, drawing on the retro style's analog nostalgia, as well as the work of hypnagogic pop artists such as Ariel Pink and James Ferraro, who are also characterized by the invocation of retro popular culture. Now, it's an ironic variant of chillwave. So let's look up chillwave. Chillwave is a music microgenre that emerged in the late 2000s, is characterized by a faded or dreamy retro pop sound, escapist lyrics about the beach or summer, psychedelic or lo-fi aesthetics, mellow vocals, low to moderate tempos, effects processing, especially reverb, and vintage synthesizers.
Wow.
The term was originally synonymous with glo-fi or hypnagogic pop. Chillwave loosely emulates 1980s electropop. So vaporwave is the ironic version of chillwave, which is 2000s retro pop. All right, we need to find a good example of chillwave now is what we need to do to understand how...
Yeah, I'm kind of curious too, because as soon as they included pop in that category, it's like, okay, not going to be your, easy listening type stuff, really.
All right. Here's a file on YouTube that's called Waves, a Chillwave Mix. So this should have a good mix of chillwave music. So let's jump in a little bit here.
Yep.
So it's late aughts electronic pop type stuff. That's smooth listening. And someone decided to take an ironic twist on it by making stuff that sounds like this by sampling old 80s music in a hypnotic pop way, I guess. If that makes sense.
Actually, it does.
So
my friends on Twitter and I can't recall the exact application, but was asking for people on Twitter, hey, how do I block, I was presuming on a device, how can I block K-pop music?
You don't. You don't block K-pop music. Have you seen their music videos?
I think this was audio only. The impression.
So that's why he doesn't understand. To fully understand K-pop music, you need to have the visual to go with it.
Right. Very
I'm
popular.
still hanging around
Very
J-pop.
popular. What?
I'm still hanging around J-pop.
No. J-pop's out. K-pop's in. Get with it.
Well, it's whatever you like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not from what I've been hearing lately. I've been like, wow, cool shit.
I think I'm a little behind. I still are into some reggae. Once in a while, I pop some reggae on.
Reggae.
Yeah, K-pop just like get used to.
Okay, well, it's all good. Reggae, K-pop,
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I can find a good example of why you wouldn't want to block K-pop. I'm trying to. What's the best example I can come up with? There was someone I was watching on Twitch that likes to dance to K-pop, and there's let's see, is it this one? Oh yes, here we go. So here's now I don't think this is the same thing as K-pop, but it's someone who dances to K-pop, and it works.
Is she Russian?
No.
Okay.
All right, so let's close up. There we go. Now this has both, because you have the music video to the right, and you have the Twitch star that likes to dance along to the tunes. And there's two things I really like about this channel: the music
cat.
and the music and the dancing. Oh yeah, the cat. Yeah,
Three things.
yeah, and they are.
Keep Pikachu on the shelf.
And they are a lovely pair. And
Oh boy.
she's got some nice bouncy dance moves there that keep me entertained for hours.
Okay, I'll pick her tits.
Pretty good size.
I'd say it's a solid double D at least.
Okay, that's why he was bouncing.
So I don't get this. Not to get political, but Mr. Trump tweeted about Saturday Night Live, something he objected to, and he threatened to sue them.
Oh, brother.
Okay.
Well, Trump
and
doesn't.
The thing is, did he see the whole thing because Miley Cyrus was on? And,
yes, so.
Okay, all right.
The jacket was unbuttoned all the way down. And you're looking for that moment where it's gonna, either one would pop out.
Yeah, but we all know it's recorded ahead of time. They would have blocked that out.
Oh, sure. Well, recorded live on tape, right?
Yeah, but they're not going to show. They're not going to show pre-recorded
Fantasy
tits
deflated.
on TV.
Right. But it kind of gave you that whole feel that I'm sure that he would have liked.
If Trump wants to see tits, he can go see. He can fly in Miley Cyrus on a private jet, bring him into the room, and ask her to.
Sure.
Yeah. In fact, he probably has. That's probably why he didn't watch.
And maybe she did. Maybe she said no.
And then sent her the hush money, and there you go.
And say that Michael Cohen did it.
Yeah, it was totally his fault.
Yeah.
I mean, for all of these networks that are doing Trump jokes, all talk shows, comedians, whatever, why are they going to pick on Saturday Night Live?
Well, Trump...
Exactly, yeah. Colbert does it every night.
Seth
Meyers does it every night.
Has someone explained how free speech works to Trump?
Apparently not.
I mean, this is he put his hand on the Bible, and made a vow to uphold the Constitution. Talks about upholding the Constitution, and then talks like free speech shouldn't apply to people that don't like him.
Yeah, that's basically
what?
it.
Yeah.
He's trying to become one of the Hitler, Mussolini type dictators.
Oh, he'd love to. He'd love to if he could find a way to do it without, running afoul of the Constitution.
He's very subtly doing it.
Yeah.
He got both the KKK and the Nazis on his side solidly.
Well, anyways,
to the point where they think they can get away with shit, and they're starting to do shit out there, especially against Jews.
Well, this is why we need stuff like vaporwave music to forget all this stuff. Anyways, EllipsisTriangletrap wrote in, Windows 96 is a good vaporwave artist. We'll have to check that out. Jose
Windows
Guzman.
96?
Windows 96. That's the one that came after Windows 95, but before Windows 98. You remember Windows 96, right? No, you're not remembering.
Or was that Windows?
Was it?
No, yeah, Windows.
Was that
Windows
a 1 week release? Before they came out with 98C.
Now that is clever to come out with a version of Windows that falls between versions of Windows that never really came out. I like it. I like that. Windows 96 is and then plus it's 69 backwards, which is basically like lying on someone's back, upside down. So you can't do much in that position, but it's
Brian of both perps.
Lying your back on someone's back all upside down. That's the 96. That's how you do that one.
Okay.
Someone gets a munch on a pillow. Someone gets a munch on air. Everyone has fun. Anyways, moving right along. Jose.
Oh, hey, real quick though, to say something about that Tijuana music. They could probably even go with the type of warning of, please support this album or we'll shut the whole plant down.
Okay.
Making that a satirical reference to somebody else we know.
Anyways, let's look up Windows 96 at Ellipsis Triangle Trap's recommendation. After all, this is the Ellipsis Triangle Trap show. Oh, I love the artwork here that we're looking at here. You know what? We're going to have to do a little screen sharing here to let me just bring that up there and drag that over there. Yeah, there we go. There we go. We got some interesting, designs. Let's see. Windows 96 100 Mornings, Gradient Horizon, Reflections, Plume Valley. Now, these top two, though. Here we go. Let's put some of that on
graphic.
there. Yeah.
Very modern.
That is. But that's like the vaporwave type of look, like the kind of like 90s. It's like a retro digital graphic type thing that you just wouldn't see or do it quite that way anymore today. So there we go. This is not bad. I could chill out to this in the background. Jose Guzman wrote in when we put on the K-pop dancing. Wow, cool dance music. Hey, thank you for tuning in. There we go.
There's a new genre of electronic music.
Yes, vaporwave. So I think Venison's going to be checking out some of that chill wave and vaporwave as soon as we get off the show here. He's got some downloadings to do.
Not as soon as they get off the show, because I am really mind distracted right now. I had a very good weekend.
A very good what?
Very good weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I finally got a hold of somebody, or they got a hold of me, someone who I had heard from for about 3 months, who I thought was one of those friends that, you hang around a bit, do nice things for them, and then after you separate, because parties thing, you don't hear from him again. At first, I thought like that, until Friday night, he called, hey, I'm coming over, and guess what? Yeah, We've been using the guess what quite a bit.
Oh, you got some guess what?
Yeah. A lot of it.
A lot of the guess what.
And I'm happy.
Guess what? How's that affect? You know, it was funny. Dune was talking about in California how there were like a lot of people, and you know, like the lines are long at the stores. But he noticed that everyone was very friendly and very nice. And I said, well, 2 words: legal weed.
There you go.
There you go. You don't care about the long
and a lot
line.
of people, because it's also Christmas buying season.
Yeah.
So we kind of got the big dose.
Yes.
And everybody's pleasantly high and in a pleasant mood,
Yes.
which makes them pleasant people. Hi.
I need to start, like, you know, figuring out how to make edibles, though, because I tried to smoke it a few times, and my lungs don't like that. No. A lot of coughing, a lot of stinky smoke. Then I got to open the window, put a fan in the window facing out, and let that run for about a half hour or so, spray some Febreze, and change my clothes. And but I don't care at that point because I'm mellow. But then every time I got to, before I smoke it, I do care. And I'm like, oh, it's just so much hassle. It's not worth it.
Well, you got to find a nice outdoor location.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't feel like smoking. I don't want to broadcast to the world, hey, look at me, I'm smoking pot.
Especially this stuff. Oh my God. It's just strong as hell. You can't really keep it in you more than about, a second, 2 seconds. Maybe they're all right. Maybe they've improved a lot.
How about that? I'll have to take your word for it. I don't have a lot of history to compare it to.
Well, I do, and I'm a little amazed.
Anyways.
So should we move on to pocket synthesizers?
Pocket synthesizers. Yes, you wanted to bring up pocket synthesizers. Thank you for reminding me.
Not? Yeah.
And I need to wiggle some wires. So Brian, keep talking while I wiggle wires.
So, I've been doing a little
wires.
look at these devices, and probably focus on machines that cost like $50 or less. And there's a pair of machines that are kind of cool from Korg. One is, and they're both a monotron. One version is called a duo, and it has 2 oscillators. Why? Therefore, it's a duo. And the other is a delay, so it has a reverb and all this kind of stuff. And the cool thing is that you can link the audio through them from one to the other. So one will create the sounds and the other will create, the next level. So they're kind of cool. So I tweeted a number of these videos that are just, doing the music rather than showing off the device or reviewing the device.
Okay, so you got the Korg, Korg monotone one, or monotrons, and you got 3 of those. You get the Korg monotron delay and duo demo number 3. You get the state income tax drop. Oh, no, that's not. All right, the first thing you sent me was the monotrons delay and duo demo. So let's check that out. And so that's 2 of them next to each other, and they both got some knobs and controls on them. Oh, that's building. So that's like some kind of a feedback loop of some sort, I guess. And then the other one's gonna add some tones there. So you can get all science fiction-y on there. Got some filters going there. So I guess you're feeding tones off of the left one, and the right one's doing some feedbacking.
Right.
Now, I have a lot of albums that sound like this type of stuff, and which you referred to as rubbish, I believe.
Yes. See, but the cool
Yeah,
part
I'm noticing
is...
Are you coming around to this stuff?
I'm noticing
here's a way
general noise.
At a low price, you can, kind of fiddle around with them. Now, I think this guy was just kind of starting, so he was just kind of showing you some of the kinds of things you do. Trying to make music out of it. But at this point, I think he's, shall we say, mostly in the noise catalog. You know what I'm saying?
I
mean, in a way, that's why I kind of hear it in that a little bit. These devices just sound like, they make one large pink generator noise, and then you have to manipulate that into something useful.
Exactly, and that's the idea of it, the fun of it.
He's really close to breaking out into something really cool, and there are some cool moments. I could see listening to something based on this.
Oh yeah, but this general noise type is going to be your basic background on almost everything. Now, what you can do is sample it and say.
Now that transition right there was really cool.
Yeah.
Like this segment here, I'm kind of getting into this now. He's kind of reaching a groove right now. That's pretty good.
Yeah, sequence them up, then put them together. They come out with something cool.
Now we're only about halfway done with this. He's having fun. Weirdness together, awesomeness. This is the description on this video. So then you sent me some more monotone videos. These are the same guy.
Yeah.
With the same setup. So I did a few of these, playing around with the two. Well,
and they're different. It's not like the same old stuff. There's some different things. So you're getting a wider view of what these can do.
Right. Well, each video is fiddling around with the same boxes, but it's always doing different things.
You got to do a lot of twisting and turning and switching and stuff.
Well, we could do our own experimentation on this show, because I did dig my MIDI keyboard out of the basement. I can't find my 5-pin DIN cable though, so I ordered one through Amazon, and that should be coming tomorrow. And this gives you some time to dig out some software I have and find what other software is out there, because they make lots of virtual machines that are fed by MIDI keyboard but emulate vintage synthesizers and give you lots of controls over things like that. So that we could do a lot of experimenting with sounds with that.
Oh, incidentally, people will buy these devices and then pop them open and modify them.
Yeah.
So there's tons of videos on modifying these things. Hey, they're $50. Not a big deal.
If you know electronics, yeah, you could. I mean, you understand the principles of how these machines work, so that you could, like, a thing to do would be to take an old keyboard, open it up, and solder in some other wires that connect different things that start making different sounds. And if you, like circuit bending, you open up a keyboard, you take a wire, and you start touching different contacts and see if you get different weird sounds that you like. And if you get sounds that you like, you solder in a wire there, and you solder, you cut the wire, solder the ends to a switch, mount the switch somewhere on the keyboard. Now you've added a new setting to that keyboard. Now, Gothard and I played around with this concept after hearing someone who sounded intelligent talking about it in a record store. And we figured out how to make the keyboard just basically keep playing the same note over and over again with the sounds that it already can use. So we didn't get far with that experimenting. But we tried. It sounds easy, but it isn't.
In this video, he's put a third device in it, which is called the Geiger counter.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah.
I remember watching the video.
I think he's... You know what? If your Geiger counter sounds like this, get out of there.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You know, I once made a joke that went unappreciated, and I was very disappointed because I worked really hard on that joke. In my electronics class in college, our final project was to... we had to build an electronic device. Just to have the experience of working with solder and components and put something together. And any old easy device that you want to come up with. And so he was like, maybe a metronome. You get yourself a, piezo speaker and this relay chip, and you could buy a kit from like Radio Shack, and you put it to a few resistors, a few capacitors, and a potentiometer, and you put it in a box, and then you get a pulse sound that you can make go faster or slower. And so I built this, and the thing is though is that the range of it is much wider than the range of a normal metronome. So the pulsing can go down to like very barely a pulse, all the way up to like a steady tone just about. And so and you had to make a write-up of what your device is and how is it useful. And so I said, it can be used as a metronome to help you keep, rhythm when playing music. Alternately, you could use it as a manual Geiger counter by moving the knob to the right as you get closer to radioactive material and moving the knob to the left as you walk further away from radioactive material.
I would have done it easier. Just hand them a crystal radio and be done with it.
Oh, come on. I thought that was funny. Manual Geiger counter. As you walk close to radioactive material, you turn that's right up there with the weather rock. You remember the weather rock?
The weather rock?
Yeah. And it was when I was in the Boy Scouts, they would want to teach us, how to make a tripod by getting, 3 logs and rope, and you kind of weave it around and wrap it around, and then you stand up. But if you have a tripod, you have to use it for something. So you'd use the tripod to hang a weather rock from it. You find this big rock, and you tie around rope, and you dangle it from the tripod. And that way you could use the rock to check the weather. You feel the rock. If the rock's wet, it's raining. If the rock is dry, it's dry out. If the rock's cold, it's cold out. If the rock's warm, it's warm out. You get the idea. The weather rock.
And if the rock is swinging, it's windy.
Yeah, exactly.
If the rock is missing, tornado.
Yeah. Pretty much. So, yeah, so that was the type of humor I was coming into the manual Geiger counter with. The idea that technically you're right, but that's also useless. Because if you already know, then you don't need to, if you know you're getting closer to radioactive material to turn up the knob. I thought that was funny.
Hell no, I don't glow.
Yeah.
Now, of course, nowadays you can find, if you really look for it, the tube you need to make an actual Geiger counter that would work.
I don't know. I don't need a Geiger counter. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, next week we'll play around with some virtual synth thing with my MIDI keyboard. And unless we do more Christmas stuff, I don't know. In the future, maybe basically MIDI cables on order. So we'll play around a bit in future episodes. And if you have any suggestions or ideas or software you want me to play with, if you want me to do more Linux stuff, we're open to suggestions here. Jose Guzman writes in, Windows Nashville was the original code name for Windows 96. The band or the
or the software?
Or the software. So,
yeah.
Oh, well, that would have been...
I think he meant software.
Well, Windows 96 was a band, so Windows Nashville was their... No. Windows Nashville is a code name for a canceled release of Microsoft Windows scheduled to be released in 96. So I guess when Windows 95 came out, they thought that they would put out a version every year. Between Chicago, which was a code name for 95, and Memphis, which was Windows 98, which was scheduled for release in 97. So Windows Nashville is often referred to as Windows 96 by the public. The release was intended to focus on a tighter integration between Windows and Internet Explorer in order to better compete with Netscape Navigator. Well, that makes sense, which is... Well, basically, Windows 95 would do that if... oh my God, I almost forgot about this. How long has it been since you've really used Windows 95? I mean, you probably are thinking Windows is Windows. You went from 95 to 98. There's some differences. To 2000, there's some differences. XP.
Or you got into Windows ME.
Yeah,
and we're still waiting for the apology for that.
Yeah, Windows. I'm waiting for the apology for Vista, the new Windows ME.
Well, Vista, true. Yeah, that's also another apology that we haven't gotten yet.
No, we have not. Anyways, the point here is my first computer that I bought with my own money was a Windows 95 machine, a Pentium 133, and I took it with me to college, and it came with an old version of Internet Explorer that was in there, because I don't think Windows 95 originally came with Internet Explorer, but I had a version that had it. So when I got I spent like $80 to buy a network card to add to my computer so I can get on the college's network. That is how much Ethernet cards cost back when I started college in 97. And and they showed me, here's what you do. You open up, you have Windows Internet Explorer here. And it was a version of Internet Explorer that had like the wavy window logo, and the blue sky would animate behind it. So this was before the rotating blue E came into Internet Explorer. So that's how old a version of Internet Explorer. It was already outdated because but I noticed most people in college are using Netscape Navigator. So I downloaded and installed Netscape Navigator and used it. But I noticed a lot of computers
was much better.
Had Internet Explorer with the blue rotating E. And I was like, well, you know what? I want to try different things to see what I prefer. Is one better than the other? And I realized that my Internet Explorer was out of date and wasn't working on all websites because of how out of date it was. So I'm like, well, let me download the latest installer for the latest version of Internet Explorer, and I'll install that on my computer so that and my roommate in college, LeVar, kind of was like, I wouldn't recommend that. And I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, no, go ahead. Whatever, I install it. And it turned every window into an Internet Explorer window. Every window on my computer had a blue E in the corner all of a sudden. It changed the way everything looked. It invaded my Windows 95. I was like, oh my God. What did this do to my computer? And LeVar goes, yeah, it has a way of doing that. I'm like, oh, I got this. I'll uninstall it. And that's how I ended up with a broken Windows 95 installation for the rest of the year. That computer lived about another year. It was never the same after that. And I didn't have the Windows 95 installation disk. I don't know why I didn't have one. So it's not like, and I didn't even know anything about. I didn't have any place to back up my data to wipe it and do a clean install. We didn't have USB jump drives. I had 3.5-inch floppies.
I mean, come on, man. There's so many people decided to use Netscape and won't go near IE. Should have told you something.
But I saw other people using IE. I was about half and half at that point.
Probably because they didn't know how to get the other browser.
Yeah. Well, you got to have a working version of Internet Explorer because you need something to use and download the installation for Netscape Navigator.
You got to have Internet Explorer in order to download Netscape.
Yeah. So
didn't Netscape come on a CompuServe disk you could get for free?
Well, you could download it and install it for free.
But if you have a browser, you install it from a disk, and those were available for free.
You could buy copy. Netscape Navigator was, I think, at the time I was in college, the word was that you could download and install it for free, but you're supposed to buy it if you're going to use it long term. But students were exempt and were allowed to use it for free, but no one was enforcing this. And that might have just been a misunderstanding or misremembering. But I know there was someone I knew in college that actually bought a copy of Netscape Navigator and had the big box on his shelf. And I was like, you bought that?
Didn't we have a Netscape Navigator on the museum shelf at Tharco?
Maybe I know we had some Windows installations that I found in the storage area that I put on there. And we had
then it turned into Netscape Communicator
95, I think.
We had some kind of a Windows cleaner that came in a orange box. It looked very similar to a box of Tide that I found that I liked the design of, so I threw that in the museum. Chris, we all know the best item that was in the museum was the rock that came in through the window into the server room.
Right.
And you think they took down the museum after everyone but Maifong? Well, Maifong's must be maintaining the museum. Maifong's the last lone curator of the museum, I suppose.
Right.
On that note, it's time once again.
Sorry, I'm going to continue that much. My mind has been in other places.
Well, that's okay. I'm in the wrong folder, so instead of the closing music, we can listen to Leonard Nimoy read poetry.
Yeah.
Rolling on take one.
Something has really been nagging at me, and I want to write.
In my heart is the seed of the tree which will be me. The sandpipers on the beach, running to and fro, playing tag with the surf. I look forward to each new day with a sense of adventure. There's so much to learn. High up on a hill, in a house of ruby glass, living in the warmth of the sun, lives the love I look for. In a ruby glass house without a door, burning, reflecting from the eye of my desire. At times I hold my breath. Did I hear a sound? Was there a signal? I must be patient. A sweet flow of excitement warms me. You are near. I am not alone. You are here. As a child discovers its deep shaft to examine their size and shape, I watch, I listen, I wait. But there is time. There is time to love. I promise myself, I will. And then, one day, in the spring of my life, and now, today, I am here. I am an incurable romantic. I sense your presence, and it has just occurred to me that you are young, and I know I know now I love you. I
God,
see with
this
new
one.
eyes, hear with childlike ears, and my heart is full of joy and wonder because of you, the child who is cold and lonely. Will you be with me? I held you. We held each other. Together. The sweet, simple joy that we have found together. In my heart, I'm a child. I am moved. I am here. I am ready to reach out for new experiences. Are you ready? I am ready to give and to receive. The child shaft is young, and it hurt me. Time to touch, taste, to warm the child who is young. Touch me. Your touch is the warmth of the sun. You held me in a half-sure way. Touch me. Move slowly. Oh, so slowly. Oh, so slowly. Blowing me. Oh, so slowly. Warm, wet. Make time. Stand still. So slowly. Oh, so slowly. Move slowly. The seed of which will be me. A sweet flow of excitement. Come flow, filled by the mist and the great waves, surging in from all directions. The tides flow. I'll walk in it and get soaked. I'm sorry, I came too soon. Your questions touch me. You ask, will it be forever? I wish I could answer yes. I was angry because I felt guilty. I have killed the child in the blackness of the darkest night. Shall I carve it on a door? I was angry. I walk softly, carefully. I avoid crushing the smallest leaf or branch. Is there anything left behind when a love dies? I have been alone before. Life comes and goes. Whoever doesn't know now may never know. And now, today, I like myself.
That took a dark turn.
Oh yeah, who made
Definitely.
that originally?
Well, that was a tape I found in the storage locker, and you put that together off of that tape.
Okay, it was me then.
Yeah, you
Oh, wow.
desecrated the memory of Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah,
so,
I sure
thank
did.
you for turning him into a child shaft toucher.
Is there something that? Yeah, that is bizarre. Is this going to be flagged by YouTube? You think?
No, that's it. That's chopped. That is totally chopped.
Oh, it is.
Oh,
That's not what he originally said. Do you think he really said that?
I didn't know. No, that was funny.
I mean, he said a lot of those words or a lot of those phrases, but Venison rearranged some of the words and phrases to turn it into that. It was basically he wrote a book, and I guess he recorded a book on tape version, and a tape of these sessions ended up in the storage locker of tapes I was in. It was just labeled Leonard Nimoy. And listening to the tape, you can faintly hear background music that he's reading to that's probably leaking out of headphones. So for some reason, tape was rolling that was only picking up his voice and not the background music. And I'm not sure why they would have done that. I would have thought he would have recorded to a multi-track on an alternate track on the same tape as the music. But this was a quarter-inch reel mono that only had dialogue. And I think it was also only outtakes. So, yeah. Anyways, that was one of the more bizarre tapes I found. But on that note, that gave me time to go into the correct folder for our proper closing. Thank you.
He might have liked the conspiracy I had.
First he loved the child, then he killed the child. And then he liked
Yeah,
himself.
that was weird.
Thank you.
And then there's points where, okay, got to take a cold shower.
Now the line, I'm sorry I came too soon, was actually part of the session banter that he started reading too soon. So
Yeah. But there are the parts that were steamy as well. So.
Oh yeah. Well, the book is
yeah.
the book is supposed to sound like deep poetry. I think.
Sure.
So there is a lot of like this meandering shit like that.
Incidentally, I
There's
was reading
a lot of great words you can just string together.
Yeah.
I was in Wikipedia and I pulled up Alec Guinness, and there's a section talking about his, contribution to the Star Wars movies. And the claim is that he came up with the idea that Obi-Wan would be killed, right?
Okay.
And convinced Lucas that would make me stronger, right? And Lucas claims that Alec Guinness didn't have a problem with the film, but in other interviews, Alec Guinness said, "Yeah, those lines really sucked. He hated the whole language around all this science fiction bullshit.
I see.
He just didn't like it at all.
And that's why I came up with the idea. Yeah, kill me.
Yeah, kill me, please.
Please, kill me." Wait,
so,
what?
I mean, it's kind
you
of
want
funny
me to come
look
back
at it.
as a ghost now?
Yeah, right. Well, no, actually, he was happy because he didn't have that much of a role anymore.
Ah, I see.
So
he's willing to take a paycheck. He just didn't want to read as many lines.
I don't think he needed the paycheck.
Now, Brian, I just thought of this. If you like that poem so much and the way it sounded, I think you will like one of my other pieces. The real Dennis the Menace.
Oh no.
Sure, I'd go with that. Will we play it on another show sometime? Or what?
We'll have to break that out next week, but
okay.
Well, I don't know if you would. I don't know if you want to or not, but okay.
Well, no. Hey, if we're gonna break out funny audio, we could also bring out Bunny Love, but that's not a chopped thing. That's just straight live. Right.
Now, Vanessa, are you also watching the video, or just audio?
No. All I got is audio.
Oh, okay.
Because
I have this clever clip thing that they took some audio and then added these cartoon characters to it, and the scenes actually look like they match the clips, but if you know what it is, it absolutely doesn't match at all.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty funny.
Animated video.
Should I play it anyway? Should I play it anyway?
Well, next week. Next week.
Okay.
Yeah, the Cowboy Bebop ones are cool.
We'll check this all out next week because we're already after time, and I want to grab a snack before I get ready for bed. So,
all right.
But anyways,
I gotta make those chicken legs. I forgot to put them in the oven.
Anyways, keep your eyes peeled on at Johnny Gators on Twitter. If I do put together some kind of a special Christmas show, I will announce it there. If anything, we'll be back next week for another normal show and more Christmas features. Of course, we always have a special guest stop by before Christmas to sing his Christmas song. And every year so far, he has gotten drunk off his ass and shows up and does a drunk performance. And hopefully this year we can get him sober in the studio. And of course, every year I break out the Cabbage Patch Kids Christmas record. So we got that to look forward to too. Lots of other great things. Check out other programming. Video Vamp's coming on live tomorrow, 6 to 8. And heck, we got live programming just about every night, as long as it's Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday. NHCRadio.com. Let me see if anyone else has written anything in before we close this up. Dune and Bob wrote in, what the heck? Jose Gusa wrote in, OMG. Well, you never heard Leonard Nimoy talk about killing children before? Anyways, yeah, no, that was edited. That was definitely edited. Jose Gusa writes in, thanks for the live streaming show, Gators. Take care. Bye. Goodbye. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you. Oh, what did we learn this week? What did you learn, Brian?
You mean Leonard Nimoy didn't actually say those words?
You did just learn that now.
Yes.
And what about you, Venison? What have you learned?
I've learned that you're an incurable romantic for office gossip.
And I've learned there's no hope for the company I work for. I'm on Avianca Flight 52, letting everyone know we're out of fuel. And everyone's like, yeah, that's nice.
And no
keep
place
flying.
to land.
Keep flying. We don't have anywhere for you to land. Just keep flying.
It's either that you're on the Titanic.
Yeah, I'm on the Titanic, and we're running out of iceberg protection. I like my analogy better. Anyways, thank you everyone for listening, and good night.
Oh, brother. And theory is a valid theory.